They are continuing to play on Thursday nights. There are some of them, and I see some bright shining faces from this room on there. And they continue to play through the spring league, almost done with the spring league, and then they launch into the summer league coming up. And in every league, from what I understand, although I'm obviously not on the softball team, is that there is a wide variety of skill level. Not just on our team, that wasn't a criticism, that came out wrong. There are some teams that are super good, and there are other teams that are not super good. And so you have this huge disparity in some of the leagues, in some of the seasons, between some teams and other teams. So the potential is for a huge problem when some of the teams match up and play, which is a good reason why they've instituted a rule. And the rule is that in every inning, except the last inning, that every inning, the maximum number of runs a team can score is 7. Now, imagine if that rule wasn't there. It could just be a blowout. But it's good because the inning will always end sometime. Except the last inning. There's no limit on the last inning, so you've got to actually get the outs in the last inning. But it's capped in every other inning at 7. So the scores can't be horribly bad. And so that's a good rule for the teams that struggle a bit more. It's maybe a disappointing rule for the teams that don't. But it's a good thing, and that rule is called the mercy rule. And I think we all need a mercy rule. I mean, do you feel like that sometimes? You make a mistake that you didn't mean to make, and you just want to call, mercy rule. Just give it to me. Or, you react some way to somebody that you shouldn't have reacted that way, but you just wanted to react that way, and you did, and you felt like, I shouldn't have said that. Mercy rule. I mean, couldn't we just get a mercy rule? It'd be so much easier. Or, you do something official and you do it incorrectly, and somebody comes back to you for it, and you think, I just wish I could have a mercy rule. The good thing is, God has a mercy rule. And God is all about mercy. I mean, throughout Scripture, God is described as merciful, full of mercy, abounding in mercy. I mean, God rich in mercy. God is so often described as mercy. It's just part of who God is. And because mercy is so fundamental to who God is, God actually has a mercy rule for how that works. And we find that rule actually very clearly pictured in the book of Jonah. Jonah, of course, is this gentleman who is best known for being swallowed by a very large fish or a whale. But that is just a very small part of this book. Jonah is known for a lot more than that when we see his whole story, because Jonah actually pictures what mercy looks like, and he helps us see it from a couple different angles that we're going to see. Jonah, in fact, was a Hebrew prophet. And that's important to understand because he wasn't just like any other prophet, he was a Hebrew prophet, which means he was part of the group that tended, not always, but tended to be the good boys, the good followers of God, the people who did the right things, the people who were sort of in God's camp. There were others who were not, but this Hebrew group were sort of the good old boys, the people who did tend to follow what God taught and who God was. So, Jonah was one of this group of people, and part of his job as a prophet was to take God's messages to other people. So to communicate the things of God to other people. So at the opening of the book, we get the message that he's supposed to give to other people. And it says this: "The Lord gave this message to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked its people are." Now, Nineveh is the capital city of Assyria. Nineveh was a great city of its day. It's about the size of Visalia, actually, in its day, in square mileage and in population, just slightly smaller. But Nineveh was like the place to be. It was the center of everything, of culture, of wealth, of things to learn, of all kinds of stuff. So if you wanted to be somebody, and you wanted to be in an important city, Nineveh was the place to go. The problem was, Nineveh was also the center of everything awful and evil and everything that God was not. So Nineveh is just described as this sin center, and it's a place that a good old boy like Jonah would never go, because it was not Jonah's kind of place. It wasn't a place where God's people tended to be. So, when Jonah was called by God to take God's message to Nineveh, what does Jonah do? He hides, he runs away, he goes the other direction. He gets out of there. And specifically, the Bible says, "But Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving for Tarshish. He bought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord by sailing to Tarshish." I mean, I love that. I mean, it's like a TV show or a very good book. It's like, I'm out of here, I'm going to buy a ticket, get on the boat, I'm out of here, I'm going to escape. Not a chance, God, you're going to find me. And you know, that's actually kind of odd when you think about it. Because imagine you are the good old Hebrew prophet Jonah. You're kind of the rule follower. You're the one who's got the good relationship with God. And if God tells you, go to this other people and tell them all the bad things they're doing, wouldn't you sort of think, well, God, I can do that. You know, I'm the good, and I'm going to tell them that they're being bad. I mean, that's kind of fun, isn't it? To be able to say, look at all the things you're doing wrong, you're horrible, and God's going to bring judgment, but I'm good. I mean, that's sort of fun. So why would Jonah run away? Why would he run away from doing something where he's able to tell other people that they're doing the wrong thing? Well, it's actually because of mercy. He was afraid that God would actually be merciful. And imagine, if Jonah went to Nineveh and told them all the things that they're doing wrong and all the sins that they're committing and all the problems and how far they are from a relationship with God, he tells them all that, and they keep doing it. Then Jonah's pronouncing God's judgment on them, just like God said to do. They kind of deserve it, right? Well, imagine, on the other hand, if Jonah went to Nineveh and he pronounced all these terrible things they're doing and reminded them of their sin, and then they changed. I mean, that's not fair. They're not getting what they deserve. So Jonah was actually afraid that God would be merciful. He was afraid that God would do the kinds of things that God tends to do. So let's ask, did Nineveh need God's mercy? Yes? Okay, did Nineveh deserve God's mercy? No! Absolutely not. They did not deserve God's mercy. And that's what Jonah's thinking. And Jonah doesn't want to be any part of God being merciful to a people who need God's mercy, but there's no way they deserve it, because they haven't earned it. So Jonah runs far away, and he creates all kinds of trouble for this ship full of people. There's a huge storm that comes up, and it practically capsizes the boat. They throw their cargo overboard. They try to figure out who is the person who's causing this storm to happen and all these problems. And they keep asking each other, who's the problem person? And finally they get around to Jonah. And then they throw Jonah overboard because he's the problem, so get him out of here. Jonah goes overboard, and that's when God sends the order for the big fish to come and swallow Jonah. While Jonah's in the belly of the fish, he prays this great prayer. It's all in chapter 2 in Jonah. It's this great prayer about, God, how awesome you are. You're amazing because you have saved me, because you have blessed me, because you protected me. He finally realizes, oh my goodness, okay, God, you helped me. And God has now dealt enough with Jonah, and so God gives Jonah up. The fish spits him out on land, and he saves Jonah. Now what's ironic about that is that Jonah actually experiences God's mercy. I mean, he's being punished for his disobedience. He prays to God, God, you are good, thank you for saving me. And God saves him. God's merciful to him. So did Jonah need God's mercy? Yes. Did Jonah deserve God's mercy? No. But this is who God tends to be. God seems to give mercy to people who need it but don't deserve it. But that's backwards, isn't it? I mean, that's backwards to how it's supposed to be, because that's not fair. And fair is how life's supposed to go. Think about the person who pays their bills every month. On time, before the due date on the bill, they pay their bills every month, and they've been doing it for years. No slips, no mess-ups, always on time, always fully paid. And then, after years of doing that, they slip. They forget to pay the bill, and they realize, oh no, I forgot the bill. And so they call. They call the company and they say, I'm so sorry, it's past the due date, but would you please not assess a late charge for my bill? Okay, so does that person need mercy? Yes. Do they deserve it? See, they sort of do. Because they've kind of earned God's mercy. Or kind of earned mercy, right? I mean, they've built it up. They have a good reputation. They sort of deserve it. At the same time, they messed up. But they sort of deserve it. Or how about the person who always helps someone? I mean, you know, the people who always go out of their way to help. They're always willing to give up their time. They're always willing to say, I don't need to do that, I can do this, I can help you. The kind of people who are always asking, what can I do? Can I bring you something? Let me give you a ride. Let me do this. I mean, many of you are those kind of people. And imagine, what if all of a sudden that person who's always helping and always serving, something goes wrong with them. And they get sick. Or they crash their car. And they can't get where they need to go. And they ask for help. So do they need mercy? Yeah. Do they deserve it? Kind of. Because they sort of built it up. I mean, you see where this is going, right? We always need mercy. And there's times when we feel like we deserve it, but we don't always deserve it. The kind of mercy that God gives is to us who need it, but we never deserve it. So who needs God's mercy? Everybody. Who deserves God's mercy? Nobody. If there was ever a mercy rule, it's this. Everyone needs God's mercy, but no one deserves God's mercy. Fast forward hundreds and hundreds of years from Jonah, and we get to Ephesians, that says, once you were dead because of your disobedience and your many sins, you used to live in sin just like the rest of the world. All of us used to live that way, following the passionate desires and inclinations of our sinful nature. By our very nature, we were subject to God's anger, just like everyone else. But God is so rich in mercy, and He loved us so much that even though we were dead because of our sins, He gave us life when He raised Christ from the dead. It is only by God's grace that you've been saved. Everyone needs God's mercy, but no one deserves God's mercy. And it's so easy to miss and slip and almost go backwards in each of these pieces about God's mercy. Because it's so common to slip into thinking that we actually don't need God's mercy. You know, have you ever thought, I'm good. You know, I'm educated. I've got a job. I can work through problems. I've done conflict resolution before. I can deal with this thing. I'm better than this. I can do this. So no, I don't need God's mercy because I'm good enough. But we're not. But we can slip into thinking that way. Or what about the other side? It's not about needing, but it's about deserving. And you know what? I deserve God's mercy. Because today is a good day. And I feel good. And I'm confident. And I have a good track record. And you know what? I've done enough. I deserve God's mercy today. I mean, we could so easily think that we deserve this mercy from God. Because the day and age we live in is all about we deserve everything. Anything to make us feel good, anything to help us along. I need my time, I need my space, I need my things, I need the stuff that other people have. Because it's all about deserving, and I get it. But everyone needs it, but none of us, no matter how good we are, none of us deserves God's mercy. So what happens to Jonah? He ends up going to Nineveh. He spends a few days traveling the city like he would walk around Visalia and explore the city to check it out and see what it's like. And then he pronounces God's judgment on Nineveh. And what do the people do? His worst fear comes alive and they change. The average person and all the people, they dress in sackcloth and ashes and they rip their clothes, and the king even does, and issues a decree to everybody that they're supposed to do the same thing. And you think Jonah is happy about this? No, I mean, chapter 4 is like the most real chapter in the Bible. It says, this change of plans greatly upset Jonah, and he became very angry. So he complained to the Lord about it. Didn't I say before I left home that you would do this, Lord? This is why I ran away to Tarshish. I knew that you are a merciful and compassionate God, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love. You are eager to turn back from destroying people. Just kill me now. I'd rather be dead than alive if what I prophesied will not happen. Seriously. Jonah is mad. He knew this would happen, and then it actually happens. He's like, God, this is not fair. Everyone needs God's mercy. No one deserves God's mercy. And God is eager, this says, to give mercy. I mean, God is eager. God is always willing and ready to give us mercy, which makes no sense, because we don't deserve it. But God is eager. So why, if we cause problems, if we sin, if we break a relationship with God, if we do all these things, why is God eager to give mercy? I think it's because God knows who we are based on He made us. He knows who we are and who we can be. He knows who we're designed to be. And if He knows who we're designed to be and we're not living up to that, some way, far back, God decided the best way to make my people into the people I made them to be is to be merciful. And for sure, God lets us suffer sometimes. God lets us deal with the consequences of our actions sometimes. God lets us drown in things longer than we feel like we should sometimes. But at the end of the day, God is eager to give mercy. There's a board that I serve on, Living Water World Missions. I've had the privilege of serving on the board for a few years. And a few weeks ago, in preparation for a board retreat, we all had to fill out one of those personality strengths surveys. And it was one that I had never taken before. I've taken some others, but not this one. And this one was one of those, it was very simple, but it had groups of 4 words that were adjectives describing people. And in the group of 4 words, you had to choose the one that most described you and least described you. And the other 2 you just leave blank. In a number of those groupings was the word fair. And in one of those groupings was the word merciful. That stood out to me. I had no problem, I realized, checking off that I was fair. Because I think that's important. I think it's very fair. With our kids, we got to be fair. You know, with people, with life, with business, with church, with school, you got to be fair. But when that list came up, I had a hard time checking that one. Because it's not fair. I'm serious. It's not fair. Because it's hard to be merciful sometimes, especially when you know people don't deserve it. But if we serve a God who is eager to be merciful, and God calls us to follow Him, what does it look like to be merciful like our Heavenly Father is merciful? Let's pray.